Is it just me, or do all of these tanks look like loot box filler? And it might just be me, but soon it will also be you, because Wargaming basically gave us the worst selection of premiums and rewards of all time, because they are hoping that the fact that there are tier 10s will sell boxes. Why do I say this? Why don't we go through each one of these stats? Now, I am going to make a video on each one of these, like a full review, but I'm also going to do actually like a full review minus the gameplay here, because each one of these will have its own video. That's like a week right there before you get the full picture. I know a lot of people aren't going to wait a week before buying the boxes. So I'm actually just going to tell you all the stats right now so that when the boxes come out, you're informed. How's that sound? So, the BZ70. When I played this thing, I played it before it was buffed, and it was the worst tier 10 I have ever played in my life. I don't think there's anything worse than it. However, it was buffed, so maybe it went from the worst to not so bad, but I never played it when it was buffed. But you know what? It doesn't even matter the stats, first of all. It does, but let me just highlight you an idea, okay? Wargaming are lazy. They're extremely fucking lazy and stupid. Why do I say that? Okay, look at this thing, right? You see this incredibly obvious weld mark right here? Right? Kind of like the T95, because it has dual tracks. There's like an extra spaced armor attached to it. If you go on the Russian version, which is the tier 11, which is where this tank originally came from, by the way, Wargaming just ripped it straight from the Lesta server, and they brought it here as a tier 10. You look at the armor, it's spaced here. Okay, makes sense. That actually gives this thing rather, you know, despite the fact that it's kind of ginormous, it does give it like reasonable proportions, right? There we go, long, slender. The turret lines up with the hull. So, what do we get? Okay, look at this. What the fuck am I looking at here? What is this Chungus fucking tank right here? What is this? This whole thing is part of the armor. So if you want a side scrape, you've got this, oh, splendid, corner plates. Now this thing does also have a corner plate, but it's actually kind of small, right? And when you're wiggling back and forth, there's a decent chance the enemy miss it, or, you know, just shell RNG. It goes high, goes low. This is substantially bigger, okay? It's still not the biggest thing of all time, but have you noticed something? Weak spot, weak spot, weak spot, almost a weak spot. It does get 330 heat, but, you know, tier 10 tank destroyers will just go through the lower or the upper plate. And there's really no way of, like, using this armor. If you use all of your gun depression, they still see all of this stuff here. What's the flap armor like? 40 millimeters. So Soviet guns and larger can overmatch it. So the armor is actually not really that good, to be honest. But the stats are, look at this. Okay, somewhat okay DPM, they buffed this. 850 alpha, ooh, wow, ooh. But wait a minute, it's a 180 mil. So shouldn't it have 1100 like the Object 268 before they changed all the arty damages? No, 1100 would be too OP. 850. Does it at least get like funny HE rounds? No, 1200. Really? The penetration is okay. The heat pen, it's not 320. It's finally 330. It's somewhat decent, but long ass reload, shit accuracy, disgusting dispersion factors. 600 meters per second shell velocity. Have fun with that, you tards. 28 kilometers per hour, 10 reverse. Oh god. Oh god. 8 degrees gun depression is pretty good. And wait a minute. 2300 health. This thing weighs 100 frickin' tons. This should have super heavy health. It has super heavy weight. This is the same health as the 113, I believe, which weighs 44 tons or something. Yeah. Not the greatest view range. No camo. What the fuck's the point of playing this thing? You could just play a Jagdpanzer E100. And I'm not even exaggerating. Let's just do a comparison real quick. Alright, tier 10, Chinese. No, that's Sweden. China, BZT-70 against Jag. It's a tech tree. We're going to load gold, of course, because why not? 330 versus 420, kind of a huge difference. Same DPM. The Jag just gets an enormous alpha increase. Look at this. It actually gets somewhat, look, 925. You can snipe with this shell velocity.
It's got better aim time. It's got way better accuracy. Holy cow, man. The dispersion factors are better apart from turret traverse, but this doesn't have a turret, so this is literally just a gun arc moving. And yes, it doesn't have a turret, and it has less gun depression. Okay, fine. It's faster, despite being heavier. It actually gets a better reverse speed as a tank destroyer. Okay, cool. One thing about the BZT-70 is the turret traverse is horrendous. You cannot move this thing anywhere or react to anything. Now, for the Jagdpanzer E100, what they mean by turret traverse, it literally just means horizontal gun speed. So even the Jagdpanzer E100, which is a TD, which, you know, TDs tend to have slower gun arcs, is like almost double the BZT. This thing cannot react at all. It's like you have a damaged turret. It only gets 100 less hit points, even though it's a tank destroyer. And for some reason, wargaming big tank destroyers need to have less hit points and everything. This is a Jagdpanzer E100. It's literally an E100. But yeah, so if you have tier 10 tank destroyer health and you call yourself a heavy, it's pretty pathetic. Now, somehow the camel's better than the Jag, I guess because it's short. But the Jag gets better view range, and the Jag certainly gets better armor, okay? If we just compare, if we compare the Jag to its own gun, it's going to be all green everywhere, okay? Everybody knows that. Let's just do apples to apples and compare it to the BZT's gun. Here it is. Heat! Yes, unangled, you pen it. Angled, it's hard to pen now. You could pen here. You wiggle back and forth. They're not penning, you're spaced. The only reliable place to pen is this weak spot. Well, the BZT has 3 weak spots. Lower plate, 2 cupolas, corner plate, and yeah, what the fuck, man. Bonus, on Lesta, if you just click that, it gets reserve track. See how there's a /350/350. The repair time, 12/12, because if one of these tracks breaks, you can keep driving like the Yo tanks. Now, does the version we get have that? No, because this feature is literally not in the game. It's still not in the game. The Yo tanks have a special kind of reserve track, right? There's a track within a track. But all of these other tanks, it's usually just double track. Wargaming have not added a double track mechanic in at least a year now, maybe 1.5 years since Lesta did. Why? Wouldn't this make selling the BZT and other tanks more appealing? They're like, wow, look, reserve track, first of its kind. But I literally think the people at Wargaming are so talentless, they literally cannot add this without breaking the game because there's too much spaghetti code. Lesta could figure it out because that's where all the talent went. But again, like I said, I played this before the buff, and it was actually like the worst thing ever. If I go like this, maybe here, worst DPM, worst gun handling, worst speed, worst pen, 320, yada, yada, yada. But they buffed it, okay, fine, they buffed it. Maybe it's not the worst thing of all time, but it's certainly not good at all. And it really goes to show you how little credibility any Watt CC has. Like, Wiki Baby is actually unironically making a video about this thing saying, oh, it's pretty good, I don't think it's OP, it's... Get out of here, dude. As soon as you realize and learn that World of Tanks CCs, they're not just people with some privileges where they get to play tanks early. No, they're people that Wargaming expects to promote their new content. The keyword is promote. They can't be objective about it. If they shit on the tank or too many tanks too much, they remove them from the CC program. You already saw this 3 times. You had Ayuksen, you had Kaizu, and you had Incoming. How much more evidence do you need? Anybody who criticizes these tanks and doesn't laze them gets removed from the CC program. Okay, next, Coccodrillo. Bombardiro Coccodrillo, okay? Wargaming made it, a few months late, but it is what it is. Look, I don't think this thing is terrible, but there are alternatives that you can get without gambling hundreds of dollars. Now, the Rhinoceronte, it's not a very good tank, but it does have 3 shots of 490, which beats out the 470. And it does have a faster interclip. So if your goal is to have a funny autoloader, well, the Rhinoceronte's got you covered. Now, okay, the Rhinoceronte may have in theory, the better aim time and accuracy, but that gun handling is so atrocious. That's why this tank is unplayable. And it's slow and whatever. Its armor is not as good. Like, I think we all saw the Coccodrillo armor. It's basically unpennable, right? If you go like this. I guess if you load heat, and maybe you're a bit above it, you can pen it, but yeah, okay. Use all of your gun depression, you're unpennable. It's not quite the case with the Rhinoceronte. Okay, there it is. You got this thing here. I don't know why. Wargaming. Look, I'm up for weak spots, but this tank has enough problems with it, okay? That's all I'm just, that's it. That's all I'm going to say. This tank had enough problems already, but I guess in theory, you can't even aim up. Yeah. So forget the Rhinoceronte. Why don't you just get the Caro? Because this is actually a far more fitting comparison. Oh, but Chems, the Caro is a Clan Wars reward tank. Actually, you don't have to necessarily take part in any campaigns to get the Caro. You literally join a clan, play just some games. It doesn't matter. Just play games, and eventually you accumulate points, and then you go down this path, and then you just get it for free. I have it, and I don't even play it. But here's the difference, okay? It's got a bit less alpha, okay? 470, 400. Yeah, okay, that's a bit less, but it gets an extra shell, and it has a faster inner clip. So, the gun handling are kind of the same, but it gets more gun depression. It's also faster, and look at that reverse speed. That's actually a sizable reverse speed increase. That's like, it's more than Bond Turbo, actually. Bond Turbo's 4, this is 5. It also has more health and less chance to be set on fire, but yeah. So the armor, the Coccodrillo does beat it on armor, because this thing, it's similar, right? But of course, when you use all of your gun depression, you still have kind of these weak spots here. And this cupola. This cupola is pretty small, and if you pretend this effective armor box is like a ridgeline, you can poke your gun out without showing those weak spots. It just requires a little more skill. But this is the whole point, man. It's like, I'm comparing this to the Caro and the fucking Rhinoceronte, okay? It's not really a high bar. You're gonna gamble hundreds of dollars for this thing? Why? I'm not. I'm certainly not. Well, I am. Sorry, but I make videos after all. I have to buy the boxes to make the videos on them. Here's the thing. If I did not make videos, I would not buy boxes. This would be the first time in like 7 years I would not buy Christmas boxes, because none of these tanks are very interesting. Okay, forget the tier 10s. How about the premiums? By the way, reward. Okay, you don't make credits in these. The World of Tanks community is so pathetically brain dead retarded that they're afraid of just the word tier 10 premium. They're like, oh, that will set a precedent. We did with the first tier 9 premiums, now tier 10 premiums. You fucking retard. We're already getting tier 10 premiums minus the premium credit bonus. We're getting rewards in boxes, and even before the boxes, we had the assembly shop. Now, in theory, the assembly shop, you could get it free to play. But the whole idea of the assembly shop was drain all of your Christmas gold and credits. Okay, and you are paying for them, essentially. We as a community are so fucking stupid. We do not want tier 10 premiums. Okay, how about tier 10 rewards that don't make credits? Oh, we'll gobble that right up. Fucking free parts. But yeah, okay, what's the next tank? The Project Louie. And remember how I said the AMX 1357 should be like, that's a real seller, right? Okay, why don't we compare it to the AMX 1357 2 tiers lower? Okay, the DPM does go up, not by a huge amount, but a decent amount. The alpha damage goes from 90 to 125. It's hardly an increase considering we went up 2 tiers. Okay, fine. The clip size exactly the same, 8. The intraclip exactly the same, 1. So it's the exact same gun basically, but higher alpha, because we go from 720 to 1000. Again, 2-tier jump from 720 to 1000. However, where it does shine is its gun handling, okay? Much better aim climb, slightly worse accuracy, but they're both, like, average. Better dispersion factors. Look at dispersion after firing, though. That's very, very nice. You have to admit, that basically means you don't have to really stack gun handling in order to just blaze away. And it gets actually 9 degrees instead of 6 for the gun depression. Very nice. 65 kilometers per hour, faster than the AMX. I don't know what's going on with the terrain resistances. It actually turns out to be slower on soft terrain, so it's kind of the same mobility. The armor doesn't have armor. The health, it's actually pretty good for a tier 9 light, but here's the problem. What's this? Why does Wargaming do this? It has worse camo and worse view range. Why? This is what makes fucking light tanks shit. If we could look at all the tier 9 lights, the Project Louie, right there at the bottom here with all these other stinkers. The T-49 doesn't have good view range, doesn't have good camo, none of these tanks do. But here's the thing, the T-49, 410 meters view range. The Wheezy, 390. This gets 380. That actually puts it at one of the lowest view ranges, apart from the wheeled vehicles. but the wheeled vehicles have wheels, okay? Charamali 370, yeah, okay. This thing wasn't really a scout. Nobody expected it to be a scout. And neither is this thing. This is not a scout either. So have fun. You might get your funny clips off, and you could maybe rack some decent damage in this thing, but like half the maps you get on, you're probably expected to scout somewhat, and even if you don't, that just means the enemies are going to scout you and, you know, clean your team up, and then you lose. So thank you, Wargaming. Yet another light tank that has shit camo and shit view range and can't scout. It also doesn't help that the fact that this thing is enormous. Look at this fucking... What's that meme where it's like the air horns from the ship? Yep, that's what this is. And look, it's got the dual tracks. You know, if this was on the RU server, this would have reserve tracks. But since we're here on the NA server and the EU server, we don't have reserve tracks. Womp womp. Here's the funniest part. I think Wargaming know that people are going to go on Tanks GG, so they're like, check this out. We're going to make the upper plate 25 millimeters. People will think, oh, auto ricochet. Guys, it's 25 millimeters. I think this is the only tank at tier 9 that has a 75 mil. Everything else has like a 90 mil, like this. Okay, this is a 105. What has a 90 mil? This? Yeah. That just means that you're an overmatch, okay? So have fun with that. There's, yeah. Okay? Don't be fooled by the armor layout. This is no armor at all. And it's enormous. Oh boy, our fucking HE gun's gonna have a field day with this thing. Maybe I'm shitting on this thing too much. I didn't actually play this. I did play the BZT. I did not play this. It could be great. The problem is, it could have the greatest gun of all time, kind of like the Sheridan's 105. It's like the best light tank gun in the game. But the fact that it has crap camo and crap view range means that it's probably not going to be very good because it can't scout. And hey, the Sheridan actually has the highest view range in the game. It's literally just its concealment that gets it killed. In fact, what is its concealment compared to tier 10 lights? Because then we can get not stationary camo, I think moving camo. Let's do that. All right, where is it? Project Louie. It's a bit better than the Sheridan. Actually, I just realized it's actually, in fact, worse than the Char Amelie 75 when the Char's not in its speed mode. But you basically have the same camo as a Panzerwagen, which means not very good camo. All right, next, the TBT. I'll admit, when I first looked at this thing, I thought, wow, ooh, it's like a VZ55. Look, 492 shots. Wow. And, you know, that's kind of what Wargaming's banking on, you being stupid and just going based off of that. Let me black pill you for just 1 second here. You ready? Oh, no. Okay. TBT, Skoda T56. A tier lower, by the way. And they sell the Skoda all the time. The TBT, you're going to have to gamble hundreds of dollars in loot boxes to get. Worst DPM. Why is it worse? Because look at it's almost got 10 seconds added to the reload. Almost 10. It's like 8 point or 9 point whatever. Why? The intro clip is a bit better, 3 versus 3.5. But you get like basically 10 seconds added to the reload just to get 30 alpha damage. Oh, wow. Go down here. Basically kind of the same gun handling. Skoda's a bit worse. It's a tier lower. But, I mean, look at this accuracy, 0.39, 0.4. These both have shit accuracies, okay? The speed, it's, okay, 1 kilometer per hour faster. Oh, wow. But basically the same speed, honestly. The armor, we'll get to that in a second. The camo is identical, which, what are the chances Wargaming enters 6.78, 1.04, 3.42, 0.52? What are the chances they enter that for both of these exactly? I'd say that's very, very low. You know what? It actually is the case. They took the Skoda, Control C, Control V. Okay, they're like, 490, 10 seconds. There we go. We'll shave off some of that, and you know, hey, we'll make it go 1 faster. Okay, that was different. See, it's different. What the fuck? And if you want to see shitty armor, holy fuck, let me show you this. Okay. This is the Lesta version, okay? This tank is on the Lesta server, but let's just have a visual look at the armor. Again, see this seam here, this weld? It's almost like an Object 907 hull. And actually, if we go to the Skoda T56, it has a hull similar to this T56. See how it's curved here? Go in the live view. Curved. You know, the armor matches the model. You look at the Lesta version, live. Yes, it in fact has curved armor. And this is a pretty decent armor, I would say, but yeah, the armor matches the model. Now, this over here, this is just spaced compartments, right? We don't expect it to be armor. Think like IS-7. Well, we go to the Wargaming version. What the fuck is going on here? Guys, what? Okay, we got a seam here, just like the BZT. We have a seam here, but this is still part of the armor. And, what? This is an overmatch? What? So, like, there's actually no way to angle this at all. You go like this, overmatched. By Soviet 122s and larger. The upper plate is, like, non-existent, bro. You load gold. What? Why? Oh, but don't worry, guys. You've got an impenetrable turret with no weak spots. Okay, woohoo. So, yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, look at this armor. Dude, it has a worse gun than the Skoda, and it's a tier higher. Look, honestly, okay, the Skoda's armor, crap. But if you told me, hey, Chems, do you want to up-tier the Skoda, nerf its reload by like 9 seconds, but you get your cupola removed? I'd say, fuck off. Why would I want that? Well, you're getting it, okay, whether you like it or not. And here's a funny thing. If we look on the Lesta version, this thing actually has decent armor, right? And it's fast, it goes 54. No autoloader, though. But it's also, tier 9 premium. You know what this is? This is a premium 277. It kind of looks like it, doesn't it? With the sloping and armor. I don't think a premium 277 is a bad idea, to be honest. I think the 277 is quite popular, and so this would also be quite popular. And interestingly, the turret is not impenetrable, so you have to be careful. The version we get is a up-tiered nerfed Skoda T56, but they remove the cupola. And they think you're such a sucker you'll buy it. Also, if you turn slightly... So, this thing, is it going to be good? No. Because the biggest problem with the Skoda T56 was, honestly, its gun handling. And this has the same shit-ass gun handling. If this had better gun handling and better accuracy, I would say, okay, it's got worse reload, but hey, it's got stronger turret with no weak spot, and the gun handling was improved, so it should be more comfortable to play. This doesn't even get that luxury. Oh my god. And the worst part is, hello, they sell the Skoda all the time. You don't need to gamble for the TBT if you have the Skoda. Yeah, let's move on. The Jagdpanzer E90. I'm sorry, incoming, but you're glazing this thing way too much. Now, to be fair, neither of us have played it, so we're both speculating, but okay, here's the Jagdpanzer E90. There's nothing that's already in the game that's kind of comparable to this. So if you look at this thing and think, hey, it's like an E100. See that? So E100 hull, Jagdpanzer E90. I don't know why it's called E90. This is a E100, but what's the armor like? Okay. Oh, but Chems, that's against 290 standard. Oh, my bad. Let me just load gold, as will everybody else that's fighting this thing. Okay. Let's say people don't spam gold. Let's compare it to like a medium. What's an average medium? Cent, sure. 268. Lower plate's kind of weird. You can over angle and you'll kind of get tracked, but okay, weak spot here. Weak spot here. Weak spot, weak spot, weak spot. Why? Look, I don't have a problem with weak spots, but the whole thing is a weak spot. And also, it goes 28. You would think something that went 28 might be blessed with a little bit sturdier armor. But yeah. Let's remove the cax here. Okay. DPM, it's alright. 750 alpha, very nice. 290 standard pen, also very nice. This thing will make decent amount of credits. It's decently accurate. It's got okay-ish gun handling. Speed, not very good. Reverse speed, not very good. This is a very slow tank. Health, it's alright. View range, not that great. So basically, what's this tank's specialty? It's 9 degrees of gun depression. Oh, chems, look, now it's impenetrable. Nothing's going through you. Yeah, just like every other fucking tank in this game. Every tank in this game has armor like this. You go hold down, use max gun depression, you're impenetrable. Yeah, every tank's like that. But yeah, to be fair, okay, fine. This isn't really a frontline brawler type of tank, but this is like you poke up at a ridge line, derp someone, pull back. I guess this thing will be decent, okay? It'll be decent. Now, have fun gambling hundreds of dollars hoping to get that as opposed to all these stinkers over here. Yeah, good luck with that, boys. Gambling's haram, by the way. And oh, I just realized this, bit of an HE situation going on back here. Check that out. I'll keep that in mind. What is the last tank? It's this pile of shit, right? This is the only tier 8 one. It's the cheapest one. It's the highest chance to get, by the way. Yeah, this is the crappiest one, right? Actually, I think this is the best one. I played it, and the best way to describe it is a Lanson, but better in every single way. In fact, this tank is so good, and the BZT is so bad, that I have a higher DPG in the Stritz as opposed to the BZT. So let's go through the stats. It has higher DPM than the Lanson because it has higher alpha and not that much worse reload. They're both 105s, but 350 alpha is very tasty. It has also higher penetration on all the ammo, including the gold, which you should be spamming. Higher shell velocity even, as well. The aim time, better than the Lanson. Accuracy, better. Gun handling, way better. I said this in the review. It hasn't come out yet, but I'll just say it again for the sake of it. This is basically like having a free vert stabs, 0.14, 0.14. So you get vert stabs for free. We go down. They both go 50 kilometers per hour. Now, the Lanson has a better power to weight than the Stritz by quite a lot. So yeah, there's that. But both of these tanks can reach their top speeds, right? So is it actually worth sacrificing the gun just to get a higher power to weight? I don't know, because we're going to look at the armor in a sec. The health is worse than the Lanson, which doesn't really make sense. Last patch was 1400, so they actually nerfed it. But it also gets better camo and better view range. What the hell? But okay, fine. Surely the armor is crap. I've got some news for you guys. No, it actually gets a decently strong turret. Now, of course, if you load gold, it's not that great, and these gold rounds are not super great to begin with. 250, most like tier 9, tier 10 standard rounds are going to go through that. Gold right through it, but you do have a weak spot here, but yeah, I don't know, whatever, man. You still got like actually somewhat decent turret armor, and the hole is at the back, so you use gun depression that hides it. You also got some funny ricochet angles going on here, so you can, peek corners like a boss, I guess. Someone shoots here, maybe it misses, goes here, ricochets. So actually, this is the only tank that is somewhat good. Yeah. Interesting, isn't it? But, yeah. I'm kind of disappointed. Like, honestly, this tank, I have no interest in it. This tank, I might play it a little bit, not really interested. This tank, I'm praying it's good. I don't have my hopes high. This thing, ever since I compared it to the Skoda T56, I've been like, what the fuck, man? I don't want to play this. This thing, I think it can be good. The top speed kind of hurts my feelings, but I'll give it a shot. We'll see. And this thing I have already played. It's fantastic. Prince credits. It's great. But here's something very funny, guys. Very, very funny. Okay? What's this? This is a tech tree. Okay? They made this mistake also in the video. See this model? A gun, this big ass cupola forehead, the wonky side armor. See wonky space side armor right here? That's a tech tree. That's this thing. Tier 2 French light tank. So we're getting tier 2 tech trees as premiums now to fill in the loot boxes. Okay, I'm kidding. It's not actually that. They made a mistake. You can see right here, it says R35 FCM 36. That's not what this thing is. That's this thing, which is like, okay. Oh, wow. It's got a lot of armor, guys. Now it doesn't have a lot of armor. Whatever. But, yeah, Wargaming. You fucking idiot. This is the tech tree. You used the wrong model here. And you did it again over here as well. Come on. How are you making this kind of amateur mistake? Here's the thing. If Wargaming was like Lesta, for example, a great company, I know I'm going to suck their dick somewhere. I would be like, haha, Lesta made a mistake, guys. But given how lazy Wargaming are with the models, like, look, fucking space armor? No, real armor. Space armor? No, real armor. And now this? Holy shit, man. Anyway, you might be looking at this and thinking, okay, Cams, come on. What did you expect them to have? Fucking missile tanks? Yeah, actually. What you just saw was what was in the Russian loot boxes. Here's it in context. This is the reward. It is a missile tank. Look, this is not a heat round. It says heat rockets because that's the translation. It's a kinetic energy missile. The further it travels, the more damage it does for both of them. That's what we get on the RU server. Alpha damage 800, it goes to 1070. They also get the Stug 17 centimeter, which is a Jagdpanzer E100, but with a mouse. And hey guys, have you seen this thing before? If you play War Thunder, you probably know what this is. They added the Terran, or Terran, or whatever. The Vulcan. What's the Vulcan? It's a medium tank with an autoloader, but you want to know how much armor this is? 295 millimeters frontal armor on this thing. And there are a few other tanks. I'm not going to do a review quite yet on the Russian loot boxes. I'm still playing them, right? But I will do videos on them, and this thing is an absolute gem. But you can see, not only just looking at the stats of the tanks we have and being a bit black-pilled because they don't seem that good, I get to play on the Russian server and play with tanks that are actually fun and interesting. So, yeah. Look, in all honesty, if you're short of cash and, you know, you're scraping by paycheck to paycheck, maybe, I don't know what your situation is, you're really not missing much. I'll be completely honest. You're really not missing much if you skip out on these boxes. Like, none of these tanks are like, whatever, man. It's not that big of a deal. If you're a whale, you know, go right ahead. Enjoy your schlop tanks. But, yeah.